what we ended up doing, just having a kind of a smaller staff, where I'm the only full-time person on our staff. Pretty much everybody else is part-time or volunteer. I felt like I could only have us have one meeting where all the staff could get together a week. And I said, okay, what are we going to make that meeting of? Is it going to be a strategic meeting? Is it going to be a teaching meeting? Is it going to? I thought, man, the most beneficial thing that this meeting could be is a prayer meeting. My name's Heiden Ratner. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, and my wife and I planted Walk Church toward the end of 2015. We have an awesome sending church called Hope Church, led by Pastor Vance Pittman, and grateful for the call that God put on our hearts together to really relocate back to our hometown, Las Vegas. I grew up in Vegas, born and raised. My dad being Jewish, my mom having more of a Catholic background, really raised me to believe whatever I wanted when it came to faith, just believe in the Lord. But it wasn't until I went to college that I was introduced to Christ. I got radically saved, and the Lord put a calling to go back home to really just give my heart and life to the ministry, which ended up being church planting. I was gifted to be an apprentice at Hope Church, which is a church that gets it when it comes to prayer. They have a weekly prayer meeting with their staff. They do prayer nights often, and a line that Pastor Vance often says is that we're not called to the ministry, but called to intimacy with the Father. And ministry is what He does out of that intimacy. And so I really saw that modeled at Hope Church, and now launched out of there kind of on our own a little bit. The question is, how are we going to apply that in our context? And reading the book of Acts, just looking at how the church gets shaped and what the church do. You think Jesus just died, rose, spoke about the kingdom, ascended, and what do the disciples do, right? Acts chapter 1, verse 13 and 14 says they got together in one accord, devoted themselves to prayer. And that for me is just this reminder, that's the strategy. That's where the power is. That's where the ideas are going to go. That's where sermons are going to be learned. That's where there's going to be new vision, fresh vision. And so just getting back to that reminder, seeing it in the Word, and now starting a practice of it. We began with a once a month prayer gathering, the first Wednesday of every month. We've been doing that since we launched. But just as of late, we've had more people come to that meeting and just say, you know what, we need to make this a weekly thing. It's so good. There's so much power and life change that's happening that needs to become a weekly thing. So that's something that we're going to launch, is that we'll be able to have a weekly gathering for the purpose of prayer. And I think that it feels less like that's a burden and more like that's something we get to do, which I don't know that we could always set that. So I'm excited about those things. I think that we'll see God do more longer, go further, because we devoted ourselves to the task of prayer today.